In this video, I'd like to talk about writing the standard equation of a circle. So in these example problems, we'll be given a circle, and if we can figure out the radius and the center, then we can write the equation for the circle. Since remember, the standard equation is just x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared, where r is the radius of the circle, and the center of the circle has an x value of h and a y value of k. So looking at this graph, we can figure out the center of the circle, which we can call C, and that has an x value of 2 and a y value of minus 5. So we figured out h and k for our standard equation, and now we just need to figure out the radius. So to do that requires a little bit more work, but we're given some other point on our circle, and what we can do is create a right triangle, or we can just use the distance formula between these points. But let's create a right triangle, and from there we can use the Pythagorean theorem, since the distance formula is really just the Pythagorean theorem. So notice that with this triangle, the length of it, this width here, it goes from an x value of 0 to an x value of 2. So this is too wide, and we can figure out how tall it is. We can figure out its height. It goes from minus 5 at the center to minus 4 at this point here, so that's 1. And let's use the Pythagorean theorem. So remember, for right triangles, that a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared, where a and b, those are the legs of the right triangle, so 1 and 2 in this case, and c, that's our hypotenuse, and in this case, the hypotenuse is the radius. So let's plug in our values for that. We have that 1 squared plus 2 squared is equal to the radius squared. So 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, so we get 1 plus 4 is the radius squared, or the radius squared is equal to 5. Now, we can find the actual radius. We just take a square root of each side. But we really just need the radius squared, so we don't have to do this last step. Because notice in our equation, we need r squared. And r squared we just found out is 5. So let's just plug in all of our values now and see what we have. So we have x minus h, and in this case h is 2, squared, plus y minus k, and k is negative 5, so we're subtracting negative 5, and we'll square that. And this is equal to the radius squared. And again, the radius squared is 5. And simplifying this part, we just have x minus 2 squared. And since we're subtracting that negative, we're really just adding 5. And we have that squared, and all of this is equal to 5. So this right here is the equation of our circle. And we can test this because we know a point on the circle. Since we know that this point right here is really at an x value of 0 and a y value of negative 4. So let me make a little bit of room, and we can plug that point into what we think is the equation. So to check this, we just plug in 0 minus 4, and if we plug it in, we should get something that's true. So x is 0 and y is negative 4. So for that, we get 0 minus 2 squared, which is just minus 2 squared, plus negative 4 plus 5, which is 1, and we're going to square that, and this should equal 5. And negative 2 squared, that's 4. 1 squared is 1, and 4 plus 1 does equal 5. So we plugged in the point we knew for sure was on the circle, and we got back something that was true, which means we can feel confident that this equation is the equation of the circle.